President Donald Trump has taken a dramatic turn in his approach to the war in Ukraine, signaling a much tougher stance against Moscow than at any previous point in his presidency. After months of a grinding stalemate, Trump has authorized Ukrainian forces to carry out long-range strikes inside Russian territory using American-made weapons. His administration is now weighing whether to supply Kyiv with Tomahawk cruise missiles, a move that would mark one of the most significant escalations of Western military support to date. These missiles, capable of striking targets more than 1,500 miles away, could in theory even reach Moscow if Ukraine received them. While the final decision has not yet been made, Vice President J.D. Vance has confirmed that European allies are prepared to finance such a weapons transfer, leaving the ultimate call in the hands of Trump himself. The shift comes after months of mounting frustration with the pace of the conflict. In a tense February meeting, Trump pressed Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to defend his nation more effectively. Since then, his rhetoric has hardened considerably. Just last week, he declared that Ukraine not only could hold its ground, but potentially reclaim all of its original territory, framing the war as one that Russia should have won quickly if it truly possessed military dominance. Trump's comments sent a strong signal that the United States now sees a full Ukrainian victory as possible. Predictably, the Kremlin reacted with warnings and dismissals. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov questioned whether Ukrainians could even operate such advanced missile systems without direct American involvement. He suggested that even if Tomahawks reached Ukrainian soil, they would not alter the fundamental dynamics of the battlefield, brushing them off as strategically meaningless. Still, Moscow's nervous tone revealed unease about how far the United States is now willing to go. Trump's tougher stance is not limited to the battlefield. On the diplomatic front, he has been pressing NATO allies to shoot down Russian drones and aircraft that violate their airspace, pointing to recent incidents in Poland, Romania, and Estonia as evidence of deliberate provocations meant to test Western unity. Eastern European officials agree, warning that Moscow's probes are designed to reveal cracks in NATO's resolve. For countries on the front line, the question is no longer whether Russia is testing the alliance, but whether NATO will respond forcefully enough to deter further aggression. The change in tone follows Trump's high-profile but ultimately unproductive summit with Vladimir Putin in Alaska last month. Since then, the president has grown openly frustrated with Russia's endurance and its ability to finance the war through energy sales. At the United Nations, Trump accused China and India of keeping the Kremlin afloat by continuing to purchase large volumes of Russian oil, calling them the primary funders of the conflict. He has already imposed a 50% tariff on Indian goods in retaliation for New Delhi's reliance on Russian fuel, and officials warn that more economic penalties could follow if both China and India refuse to reduce their purchases. This broader strategy shows Trump using both military leverage and economic pressure in an attempt to corner Moscow on multiple fronts. For Ukraine's supporters, it is the bold shift they have been waiting for, proof that the White House is no longer content with managing a stalemate, but is now aiming to change the trajectory of the war. For Russia, it marks a new stage of uncertainty as the possibility of Western weapons striking deeper into its own territory becomes more real. And for China and India, it raises the stakes of their balancing act, forcing them to consider whether continued reliance on Russian oil is worth the escalating costs. Whether this tougher approach succeeds in altering the course of the conflict remains to be seen. But one thing is clear: President Trump has dramatically raised the pressure on Moscow, on America's allies, and on the global powers that have tried to remain neutral. The world is now watching to see whether this gamble will shift the war in Ukraine or push it into even more dangerous territory.